Sabrina 70s comic, issue 52. Sabrina puts on her winter coat and tempts fate by thinking that witches don't have to put up with being a target for snowballs as long as she zaps up Invisible Shield. Oh yeah, expose the existence of magic. I'm sure no one will find it strange that their snowball hit and fell off an invisible shield of air. I guess it's only fine because everyone forgets magical events thanks to the spy witches anyways. It'd just be smarter if it went with my first assumption, and there's a spell that makes nobody want to throw snowballs at her in the first place. Why did she wait until she left the house to cast the spell? She's lucky no one threw one at her to interrupt her. After her shield blocks the snowballs, Harvey runs up to Sabrina trying to give her a hug, and he bonks into the shield because Sabrina didn't think to make it permeable to non-snowballs. It feels contrived that he did this because he never tries to run up to her to give her a hug. Unfortunately, right after she gets rid of the shield, and somehow no one comments on her saying a spell in front of them, Sabrina and Harvey get hit in the head with snowballs, punishing Sabrina for compassion for Harvey. No one reacts to Sabrina saying a spell again, where she tells the spirit world to make her shield big enough for two. The kids comment on the shield and say there's something spooky going on. No kidding. Sabrina just said a spell. At least keep all her spells in thought bubbles. If she casts her magic by ordering around spirits, then I guess they're different spirits from the poltergeists, and they can't be ordered around because they're jerks. Harvey still feels woozy and wants to go home, so he walks into the shield, and doesn't comment on Sabrina saying a spell and getting rid of the shield. Too bad she doesn't have enough medical knowledge to just cast a spell to fix Harvey. The story ends with her throwing snowballs at the kids for revenge. And all this happened because she was apparently opposed to brainwashing them into never wanting to throw snowballs at her. In the first comedy page, Harvey suspiciously tells Hilda she looks especially pretty today. Aren't they suspicious? Is he buttering them up? Hilda wants to give him a piece of pie for those compliments, so at least she has the potential to want to be nice to him. The story ends with him saying he has an appointment to have his eyes examined. This makes no sense because he probably won't have glasses after this. Maybe he'll have contacts and we'll never know. He never thought Hilda was pretty before. Lucky for him, they won't ever fall out from him being a klutz. I guess his family was able to afford the $5,000 for corrective laser eye surgery. Or he was just joking. But why joke with Zelda? She never did anything to him. He was literally just trying to butter them up. In the next story, Hilda cares enough to ask Sabrina if she found anything she liked at the flea market. And it turns out Harvey bought a crystal ball because he wants to go into the fortune-telling business. First magic tricks and now this. I guess the reason Hilda's mocking him here is, well, either crystal balls can only scry and can't actually tell the future, or she's mocking him because he's immortal, so he wouldn't be able to scry and spy on people. He wants to know his own future and puts a turban on. Too bad it's white, or it could look better. Hilda calls him an idiot, and he doesn't react at all. So why didn't you have a thought bubble instead? He's just really used to it. She uses her magic to mess with him, making him think that a woman other than Sabrina will kiss him. He gets excited about it instead of being uninterested and wanting to kiss Sabrina instead, because that's what he's like. And Hilda uses magic to make the doorbell ring, and a redhead like he saw shows up. She says she's taking a survey and asks for his opinion. Does he really have to be drawn with his tongue out just because he's in love with her? It's like in that Sonic manga. She kisses him and asks if he liked that. It was amusing enough to make me giggle a little that he somehow floated in a weird way and said, "Va-va-boom, dynamite!" Is the floating part of the spell? She says that she meant the lipstick flavor while smiling. It'd make more sense if Hilda made sure this all happened in front of Sabrina. But instead, Harvey somehow thinks it's smart to tell Sabrina about this. Normally he cheats on her without telling her and he lied about it. I guess he's learned his lesson from the Pinocchio story and doesn't want his nose to grow. He's telling her this is proof that he really did see the future, and I guess he's too happy and in the moment to think up a lie about what he saw. It's like he keeps forgetting Sabrina's his girlfriend, not just his friend that he can talk about other women to. Is it because she has short hair? He doesn't even say that. Harvey openly hopes he'll see a blondie in his future, saying that blondes have more fun. Hello? Sabrina's a blonde? Sabrina's smart enough to realize Hilda's been up to her usual tricks. Some tricks. She just made Harvey happy. And she uses magic to make Harvey see a fat woman forcing herself on him in the future and makes her show up. Again, they're just conjuring up beings just to make them disappear. I feel bad for them. Harvey freaks out and runs away, telling her to throw the crystal ball in the garbage, which is really stupid of him because the crystal ball just warned him so he gets to run away fast enough. At least as far as he knows. That just convinced me to keep it. It's not like he saw himself die a gory death and never wanted to see anything like that again. Of course, it'd be completely ridiculous, bad fanfiction if that did happen in the Sabrina series. The whole reason I find the franchise appealing is because it's lighthearted. When you'd expect the series about witches to be scary. That's what makes it so charming and brilliant, even if its jokes fall flat. In the next story, while Sabrina's holding a sign saying Good Neighbor Week, Harvey looks like he's throwing a tomato at Reggie. Then he hides and Sabrina's blamed. Although I guess it's not Reggie, because he looks too fat to be him. So then what was the point? Why wasn't it Reggie? Why are so many pages being wasted on him being threatening to Sabrina? I assume Harvey threw the tomato at him because he's a jerk. Harvey says the jerk isn't his neighbor, and Sabrina agrees with me, saying that she's really shocked at him for doing a childish prank. Finally, Harvey explains that he caught Harry taking the air out of the tires on his dune buggy to show off to his friends. Why isn't Sabrina immediately siding with him after this? Sabrina gets revenge on anyone who bothers her with her magic. But when someone else gets revenge, she thinks it's never okay? Why does she think Harvey of all people has more common sense than Harry? He never has common sense. In fact, Harry has more common sense indeed, because the minute he sees Harvey, he realizes he was the one who hit him with the tomato. Harvey is competent enough to duck and say, "You missed me, you big bully." Wow, I thought he'd get hit for sure. I guess because Harry's a jerk, it makes sense that he'd have a rotten tomato. Sabrina's hit with a tomato and throws away her sign, saying it's futile, in a move that Dell would be proud of. Though she'd be even more proud if Sabrina used magic for revenge, like I expected. Instead, the story ends, because it wasted so much comic space. In the next story, we see Hilda running on the snow, once again wearing her silly striped socks she somehow likes. A scarf really isn't enough. Harvey tells Hilda to tell Sabrina he was only walking Jenny to the store. Why is Hilda running all the way to Sabrina instead of teleporting? It's trying to be funny, but this would work better with a non-witch character. Sabrina tells Hilda to tell Harvey that she saw him go into the malt shop with her. Maybe it makes sense that she's not saying this to Harvey directly because she wants to resist abusing magic on him. But since when does she have that restraint? She flip-flops on it. Hilda runs back to Harvey. Why isn't it Zelda? It's more amusing that it's Hilda. She sure loves Sabrina if she cares enough to do this. Harvey tells Hilda that she was buying ice cream for her mother and left alone. Hilda says it's dumb running so much when she's not a jogger. What took her so long? She casts a spell to summon a dog sled and makes a dog pull her. Hilda tells Sabrina that Harvey said he was in the malt shop waiting for Sabrina. Sabrina doesn't believe him and doesn't want to apologize. I mean, Harvey has cheated on her a lot. Hilda finally realizes she should zap something up that's more up to date because people are staring. Though she's fine with zapping up a snowmobile right in front of those same people. They must have been forced to forget that. You'd think someone would have caught her on camcorder eventually. I guess those didn't exist yet. So she could get away with exposing magic because no one who saw that would ever be believed. Predictably, Harvey refuses to apologize, saying he didn't do anything. It's weird that Hilda doesn't abuse him for that. She says that her hat is in her face and she can't see. And the snowmobile runs into a cop wearing a purple uniform. So he puts her in jail, somehow, instead of her just instantly using magic to avoid that. It took until now for her to decide that this will be the last time she'll get involved in Sabrina's arguments. Why didn't she just teleport, not literally in front of Harvey every time, but teleport so that she was really close to him and then went out of a hiding place? The first story is about Sabrina making a force field to protect herself from any kids throwing snowballs at her for fun. Only for Harvey to run into it trying to inexplicably hug her from behind. by itself a stupid move since it'd freak her out if she didn't know it was him. So she turns off the shield and gets pelted anyways because Harvey insists on going home instead of continuing to walk with someone he's supposed to like. At first I liked seeing how Witch would avoid snowballs, but Harvey frustrated me. Not that it didn't make sense, it was just this could have so easily not happened to her. That was cruel. She would have just pointed at the kids to make them not want to throw snowballs at her. The second story is about Harvey being so desperate to be special that he tries to become a fortune teller with a crystal ball from the flea market. And Hilda messes with him, making him think that he can see the future. It's so nice of her to summon a girl to kiss him, without making sure Sabrina would see. Sabrina then summons a fat lady to scare him away, which you'd think Hilda would have done. And he gets rid of the crystal ball, even though as far as he knows, it saved him from being forcibly kissed. The third story made me think Harvey was throwing a tomato at Reggie at first, and I was sorely disappointed. Instead, some random jerk. And it takes way too long to explain that Harvey did it for justified revenge, because the story wasted time on Harry accusing Sabrina, when she had a good neighbor week sign, and ends with Sabrina being pelted with a tomato. Though it helped that Harvey impressed me by getting to dodge it. At least he stood up for himself. And the fourth story was amusing to see at least. But it was so out of character for Hilda to run back and forth being the middleman in Sabrina and Harvey's argument. She doesn't even want them dating. Zelda or Ambrose would make more sense. I guess she really didn't want to get caught teleporting back and forth by people. But she was fine with zapping up a snowball in front of them. She would just erase Harvey's memory of the fact that she teleported in front of him. And that ending sucked. She wouldn't let a cop put her in jail.